So that is actually what social media has done, was create a access on both sides to where like men have always, men of great value, men of stature have always been highly desirable. But one thing they couldn't do in the past was frequent areas of women with low quality because they were just, men who shouldn't be seen associating with such women. Now they can do so in secret through DMs. So that's where that access, social media has created an outlet for this to happen. That's why the thirst trapping is so crazy. Women know that if I don't know the woman's name. I only see a username, but yes, yet I know what both her ass cheeks look like bare naked. That should tell you exactly the way women talk in this society now, because they know that flesh prompts a man's attention. That's biological. If he's single, he just wants something, you usually have to do something for that. So now he can just, oh, guess what? Her profile's not private. Is that on purpose? Absolutely. Go ahead and send her that little DM. You trying to fly out? She's gonna look at that blue check or look at the type of life you live. He a doctor? What? He a this? He a what? I mean, let me tell you. In the circles that I frequent, whether it's
Man, I hope she hit me back.
sorors or even women of like medium value or high value, the way men come at them, the way that the things that I've seen, like I've even given network opportunities to women thinking that it was a real networking opportunity. And the dude I tried to hook the woman up with for business purposes came at them sideways. So yeah, it's an access thing, and that access definitely has been streamlined for these people to meet and carry on now.
Chaotic, you are really on one. You're special.
Well, it's not about being special, Shan. It's about the truth. And
it is not true.
No, and I've made videos about this, about the hoop earrings, about the natural hair, about the wanting to talk about this I'm an African queen nonsense, Erica Badu. This is rebellion. And I hear a lot of rebellion on this panel. Now, Enos, no offense, is telling me about a standard that I'm applying for white folk. Well, let's be honest. Me and her are part of the same hypocrisy. She's in the white folk country. She got the white folk car. She got the white folk computer. She got the white folk internet. She wearing the white folk clothes. And to be completely honest with you, she damn near is half white folk. I don't even know her. I ain't trying to dog her or nothing. She's cool. But we gotta stop with this. Oh, we gotta stop with comparing ourselves to whites and their standard of living. What are you talking about? The standard of living? You live in their country. If what I'm saying, if I'm trying to imply that women should adopt to more white standards, then move to Africa. That's all I'm saying. So yes, I like this country.
He is African. What are you talking about?
No. We got to stop with this too. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to insult anybody. Hold on for a second. Now, let's be honest. Me and Trigger Mike. Hold on. Whoa. Let's not get to the race thing, because let's be honest. When it comes to Black Africans, me and Trigger Mike are the only ones. So let's be honest. But that's either here nor there.
No, hang on. We're not
here nor there. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about
No, because you made a really bold
statement, and it
was really presumptuous. No, it was.
Ma'am.
It was. So just one second. Give me.
I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just
but
saying.
You are. And this gaslighting is not cute.
I
so
can't believe this.
Taken said, I am 100% East African. 100% both entire lineage.
Are you Eritrean?
No white. What's that?
Are you Eritrean or what are you?
No, I'm not Eritrean, but not far from.
Where?
I'm from Djibouti.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay.
So denying my blackness, we're not.
No, but what I'm saying is that
I've never met a Djiboutian before.
Yeah, that's a landlocked country. I know all about Djibouti.
It's not landlocked. I'm gonna ask you to take a look at a map.
Djibouti's not landlocked. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna look at the map right now. I thought it was landlocked.
It is right above Somalia. It is not landlocked. It is right
Oh
across.
yeah, it's right on
Yeah,
the.
yeah,
Okay,
not
okay.
landlocked.
Hey, look, I apologize, but what I'm saying is that what is so wrong with having white standards too? That's what you said earlier, right?
What's wrong with it? That's the question.
You had mentioned earlier that
Mhm.
you had, and I'm paraphrasing it.
Respectability politics. Yeah.
Okay, so what is so wrong with embracing a lot of white behavior as well for women too? You're doing it now. No offense, you're doing it right now.
Oh.
You're
Can someone
huh?
define white behavior for me, please?
What we're all doing now. We're speaking the white man's language. We driving his cars. You're advertising for him right now, respectfully, AP. So my thing is,
Well, I'm asking that. And no,
that's
I
it.
drive Japanese.
So I
Hey,
think,
man,
I think
I'm getting the fuck
This is,
about.
this is the problem when it comes to this conversation. Is right now we're having this conversation in English because that's the conversation that we all speak. I'm fluent in 2 non-colonialistic languages, so we're not going to play that game. I'm also very heavily educated. You're on mute. Very heavily educated in not only my culture but religion that is not whitewashed. You're on mute, so I can't hear you. So if you want to dialogue, you're going to need to unmute.
Why does English have to be a colonialist language?
Because it came from England, which colonized the majority of the world.
So you mean to tell me civilizing most of the planet is
Even
colonization?
there, that word there, you're civilizing, as if the civilizations that existed outside of colonialism are considered to be barbaric. What we're talking about?
Yes. Okay?
Barbaric. Wait. Okay, so we're
live
not
in Djibouti
gonna.
right now.
So we're not going to discuss how the Middle East brought over sanitary practices into the Western world. We're not going to talk about how mathematics
more.
and algorithms did not come out of parts that of people that do
Ma'am,
like that
ma'am,
look more like us than the people
ma'am,
that practice it
ma'am,
and teach it. This is
ma'am.
what
They had bathhouses in Rome thousands of years ago. What are you talking about?
Then the bubonic plague when it existed.
okay, hang on a second. What were the bathhouses used for?
Bubonic plague happened in
That
what part of
conversation
Europe?
is not for bathing. You want to have that conversation? What were bathhouses used for?
Ma'am,
It was not for cleanliness. Let's talk about it. What were they used for? What
Them
was
young boys.
so we're not going to play this game,
okay,
right? Of like having
okay,
this conversation about how damaging respectability politics is to people that look like everybody on the panel,
Inez,
despite the fact that you've tried to erase my blackness through those respectability politics. Sir, if we're gonna have this conversation, let's really have it.
You mean to tell me African women walking around naked was comparable to the clothed women in Europe?
The clothed women in Europe were still sexualized with their clothes on, whereas the women who were not clothed were not sexualized in the way that they were.
So
So
no African women were sexualized in Africa.
they were only sexualized once colonialism happened.
So you mean to tell me there was no prostitution, no sexualization
I
of
didn't say
black
that.
African
I
women?
didn't say that. But your average woman walking down the street, barely covered, was not being sexualized. The women at the whorehouse in those areas were being sexualized. We're not talking about the same.
Let me get this straight. Let me get it straight because I'm hearing you out. Let me get it straight. So you mean to tell me
Okay, you guys, we got to
women-
sum this conversation up a little bit.
No, I think Chaotic needs a little schooling. He said he was
schooling? She got a time machine.
he was a teacher, so let
She
him
got a
learn
time
little bit.
machine or something. How does she know all this?
The same books,
You mean the
education.
same books that the white people wrote too that you also say are the same crooked people?
No, I make the
Oh,
emphasis
my
to
books
read
now?
books that are not written by white people.
Ma'am.
Go ahead.
Black
Yep.
people. Okay, I want to get to a race conversation. I just want to end this real quick. We have to get off of this notion that we were just this perfect people living in harmony, butterflies and green pastures in Africa. I can't stand that. Are you kidding me? You think that the African blacks who are walking around naked weren't practicing prostitution and all types of things in those villages too?
She never said that.
I never said that.
Then,
I
ma'am,
literally referenced the whorehouses that existed in those places. So what are we talking about?
ma'am, so there were no whorehouses in ancient Africa?
I
She never said
literally said that they existed there and that those were the women that were being sexualized. What conversation are we having?
Man, because you had said the colonizer's language, and I said, well, why? This is what I said. You said the colonizer's language. I said, why is it the colonizer's the colonizer's language? Then you said these people went throughout the world colonizing people, and I said, you mean to tell me bringing civilization is colonizing? And then you had mentioned about the supposed whorehouses and stuff in Europe, and I'm saying that why is it that whatever they do is wrong, and there's nothing ever wrong that we do? That's what I'm trying to argue here.
No. See, again, I think you're having a conversation with yourself that is different than the conversation that I'm having with you. That was never anything that I had stated, alluded to.
I could have swore you said that, but maybe I'm tripping. But go ahead.
Absolutely, 100%. Marcus is already nodding his head in agreement, and so is mistaken.
Oh my God! Come on, man.
That there is not only a history, but reported proof that still exists.
I think
that
God
was
did
the
that.
ancestors. They were saying they were trying to stall you out, chaotic. They said even though you're doing this foolery, they want to protect you from what she's doing to you right now.
So here's the thing, right? is respectability politics is so incredibly damaging to people who look like us. It is like not only like repressing progress to people who look like us, but it's also considering a certain level of conformity.
You're not oppressed, ma'am.
We're not going to get into that. Is a
You're
whole
not oppressed. You're oppressed in America, the wealthiest nation on the planet. You're oppressed in America that has the wealthiest companies. You're oppressed.
She
in
doesn't
America.
live in America.
You don't live. She live in. Well, she could tell you.
Where do you live at, then? Ines? I don't know where you live at.
North America, Canada.
You're oppressed in Canada.
I know. Are we for real right now?
You're oppressed in Canada.
We're not going to talk about what jails look like. We're not going to talk about the overrepresentation of policing in certain neighborhoods. We're not going to talk about pay equity. We're not going to talk about human rights violations. Are you like chaotic? You have to be trolling. There's no way you live in the real world that are trying to have this conversation with me.
I would love to. How about this? Let's go one at a time. Okay. Can I go next? Can I go right now?
You guys.
Can I go? Shane, give me a second. Can I go right now, Inez? Inez, I do live in the real world. I'll tell you some real stuff here. I got a free education through public schools. My parents were well-to-do, and I got a private education on top of that. I went to a university that had all types of resources that were available to me. I got my master's degree from another university that had all types of resources available to me. I could have been anything in the world that I want. Well, you probably can't be the president, but I could have been anything in the world that I wanted to be, depending on what I applied myself to do. I live in a country that the military definitely does their job. There are no foreign invaders coming over here. I live in a country where I don't have to be worried about ethnic cleansing or religious cleansing. I live in a country where I make more money. I may have more opportunities than any other African in the diaspora. I live in a country where I by birthright am better than almost every other people on the planet. That's including whites and Asians, just by the fact that I'm an American. I live in a country where people literally die to get over here because of the standard of living. That is how I live. I live in a country where I've gotten pulled over for speeding and given the officer my ID and registration and went on about my day. That's the country I live in. I don't live in a country where I blame everything on victimization and whiteness and all that and ancient slavery and colonization. That has nothing to do with me. I don't think it happened to that scale. All I'm saying is that you can't trick me with your feminist ideology. You can't trick me into believing that there's oppression in this country. You have all groups of people come over here. You have people who come over to this country literally in 1 year, they're millionaires. You got East Indians who come to this country. They live in a small bungalow house. There'd be 20 of them. They work hard at McDonald's. They save up all their money, and they literally will buy chains of restaurants. That's what I've seen. I've seen people come to this country and living in this country for generations. They become doctors, lawyers, engineers, mathematicians. What are you talking about? I'm a part of a fraternity, literally that has I have a fraternity brother right now that is the mayor of a major U.S. city, Cleveland, a fraternity brother. So this is not, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll tell you something about oppression. I dated two, not at the same time, I dated two Rwandan girls in college. You know what they saw in Rwanda? They saw their families massacred. That's oppression. I knew a girl from Liberia who lived in Liberia under Charles Taylor during the Civil War. That's oppression. This in America is not oppression. The jails in America, which, by the way, I worked in, my first job out of college, I was a probation officer. I was in and out the jails working with my clients. The jails in America are way better than the jails in Africa, the way better than the jails in most South American countries, and way better than the jails in most Southeast Asian countries. And this, you're not talking to some liberal black man. You're talking to a Negro who literally is the Negro whisperer. And on that note, Shan, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I just want a second to rebut. I won't be as long-winded as chaotic. So again, with this mislabeling is incredibly patronizing, to be honest.
Come on, built like a conquering king. Come on, man.
I'm not a feminist. I've never shared any feminist ideals. I've never identified as a feminist. I don't believe in feminism. That's not something that I ascribe to. So to label me as a feminist is absolutely patronizing, simply because we just disagree. That, for starters, we're just going to start there. Secondly, I respect your experience. However, your experience is the anomaly when we take a look at the experiences of the majority of Black people, and to ascribe your experience to be what exists in the entirety of North America, not just the US, but Canada as well, I think is really dangerous rhetoric to be sharing, to be honest.
We share the same experience, chaotic. I just want to say that.
And that's fair. Those experiences exist, and me expressing this is not to negate your experiences. I love that for you. I wish that more people had those experiences. However, when we take a look at the continuing building of privatized prisons, when we take a look at the conditions in which prisoners live in, when we take a look at the rates in which people are being incarcerated, which requires more prisons to be built, right? When we take a look at the conditions in which these neighborhoods are constantly being created, gentrified, recreated over time periods again and again to feed this system, that's not the experience in the majority, right? And you can agree to disagree. That's cool. That's fine. That's your opinion. You can back it up however you want to. But that machine cannot continue to grow at the rate in which it's growing if there's not something continuously feeding it. So I think to say that your experiences
Right about that.
are the general experience, I think is really unfair, because then it negates the fact that this thing is actually happening. And it also distracts us from actually talking about how the system is being fed, the people in which are actually being perpetuated within the system, right? It doesn't make sense to have that conversation, right? Because we're negating the experience of people who are being victimized by this, who are actually being negatively impacted by this, and not only themselves, but in which it's being perpetuated through generations. So you can agree to disagree. That's cool. We can have this conversation a separate time. I know Shan is kind of over this conversation, so
Yeah, just chaotic. Just put the L in your pocket and let's move on, man.